our attention spans are so small, so I should be able to go to your business page. You should be speaking to me as if I'm somebody that has never heard of you within those posts, to where it's like a lot of people too, it's like they get in this mindset of everybody knows who we are. Nobody knows who you are, like get out of your bubble.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Dan Wise with North Idaho Podcast Productions, and this is our new series, Rise and Grind, an entrepreneur's roadmap to success, basically.
Yeah. And I'm Elizabeth Wolfe with Maudie's Digital Marketing. We're going to be here every week showing up to give you guys real tools, real insights, and real actual advice that can work to help you grow your business. I think that's the most important part, is that because there's so many marketers and everybody has the secret sauce to grow somebody's business, right? And they just make it like way too complicated, which kind of, plays into what we're talking about today with the algorithm, because I feel like everybody's an algorithm guru,
Well, that's kind of what we're talking about today, right? Today's first episode of many to come is talking about the algorithm, because you seem to be, is algorithm expert kind of fair to say?
I don't know that I'd say that I'm an algorithm expert. I would just say that I understand it and that I know how to help businesses, quote unquote, utilize it as a tool and not, focus on getting around it. Because you really shouldn't want to get around the algorithm, because the algorithm actually is one of the greatest tools that business owners could be utilizing.
So is it fair to say like the algorithm doesn't hate you? You just haven't got to know it yet?
Yes, 100%. Totally.
Or maybe it hasn't got to know you yet.
Yes, 100%. And I feel like a lot of times, because here's the thing is that people, they don't start a business to be a marketer. They start a business to do whatever it is that they want to do. And then what they find themselves doing is trying to figure out how to beat the algorithm by, becoming a marketer. And they buy all of these courses and, they start following all of these people. And what they don't really realize is that all of these people are monetizing off of them, not knowing anything. And that these people don't know anything either, because if they did know, then they wouldn't spend a whole bunch of time making content to get thousands and thousands of views so that they could be paid and to be getting monetized. It's really not as hard as everybody makes it sound, but you do need to be consistent. And I think that whenever it comes to marketing in itself, I wish that every business owner thought whenever they started their business that the first person that they should hire or, should be somebody to help them with their marketing.
So somebody watching right now going, oh, I've tried this before. I've hired somebody. They go on Google and do AdWords and all this stuff. And I'm a plumber and I've got people calling me to fix the roof.
Right.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So like I said, I honestly am one of the biggest haters of the marketing industry. I really am, because I work in it and I have to come in and clean up everybody's mess, because what really ends up happening is we have people that are, just YouTube certified to help people with marketing. They heard you can make $100,000 a year, and that's their ultimate goal, is to make $100,000 a year. It's not to actually help businesses, right? So it doesn't matter what it is that we go into business for. If you don't actually have a passion that's outside of money, you're not going to be good at it. And
I saw somebody post on your Facebook. They said, if what you're saying is true, why don't you just do it for free and take like a cut? You get that a lot, right?
I do. And I know exactly what comment you're talking about, right? And it's like, so that would literally be like me going to a roofer and saying, I will pay you whenever this job is done the right way, the way that I want it. Like I don't care about you having to foot the labor, and then I'm going to decide if it's good enough, And so at the end of the day, it's like, for one, you don't get to come into my business and treat me like that. You know what I mean? Because what those people end up being is the cheap people, people that you could deliver them literally $2 million in sales, and they'd still have something to complain about.
We're so going to share this comment. The reality is what she's also not thinking of is you could do your job to the T. You could get the best leads, lead captures. If she's not managing those leads and not taking phone calls the next day, at the end of the day, she's going to blame you.
Yes, 100%. And that's always, actually, I even have that like written out in my contracts, that successful marketing is getting you qualified leads. So, if you are a roofer, if somebody has a house that needs a new roof, that is a qualified lead. making the sales is your job as a business owner. And if you need to hire somebody to help you with your sales process or, whatever that follow-up looks like, then that's not my job as, what I do for marketing.
Right.
All that I need to do is provide you quality leads. Obviously, a quality lead for roofing is not somebody that's calling for plumbing, but if somebody's calling and saying, I have a 40-year-old roof and it needs to be redone, that's a great lead.
Yeah.
And so, same thing for even myself, if somebody owns a business and they need help getting leads, that's a great lead for myself. If I don't close that, that's on me,
Yep.
not the marketing that I did.
Sales is one thing, like learning how to go sell, how to get somebody interested, but then what CRM are you using? How are you tracking your clients? If you get one client a month, okay. But a lot of these clients, as you get them, they're not just one and done. You have to maintain them. So once you get a pool of 20, 30, 40 clients, how are you managing those clients? Remembering to call them if they have questions. But at the end of the day, how are you managing your leads? What CRMs are you using? What's your callback strategies?
100%. And I think too that one of the things that I hate about networking groups is that the majority of them are filled with business owners that don't actually want to learn how to run their business. It's like they just show up and they just want somebody there to sell to. You know what I mean? It's like all about the commercials and all. And it's like,
I'm not getting any business from this place.
Yes, totally. It's like, dude, you showed up and left your business card, like, and that's just not how business works, and it's like people sell people. That's what, later on we can get into, how I feel about AI and, everybody wanting, AI to run all of their systems. You're going to have.
Don't talk too much shit about AI, what you're reading right now.
It's a tool that you can utilize, to help your processes in your business, but it should not be running your business, period.
Correct.
It should not be running your marketing, period. It should not be running your sales process, period. Unless you have it set up, to where you're, utilizing AI to let you know whenever you do need to make that phone call to, follow up with people. And at the end of the day, too, it's like, everybody is getting so trained to see AI, right? It's like we see AI copy. And they actually just did, asked a bunch of people, how do you feel whenever you see AI copy with consumers? And they said they see it and they don't even read it, because now we're getting trained. And it's like, because it feels like little effort for me to work with you, that you can't even like take the time to write something to speak to me as being a potential client or customer.
But even with that, with AI, right? So when I do proposals, I use AI, but it's like, like when I did the proposal to you, the reason why we're sitting here right now, I used AI to create the outline of it, but I wasn't just like, all right, submit this.
Right.
I went back in, I still spent hours.
Yes.
But it created the format for where I wanted to go. It suggested ideas. It scoured the internet for what you do. It looked up your content. It looked up customer reviews. And it said, Dan, your best way to get in with Elizabeth to find what she's interested in is touch on this, this, and this. And then I had to give it my own flair to be me. So it has a great purpose.
Yes, 100%. And I think that the problem is that AI has been sold to so many business owners as, that now you just don't have to do anything. You can put this one prompt in whenever it's like people like you and I, because obviously I use AI, like even the algorithm itself is AI, what we're going to talk about today, whenever we get there. but it's, at the end of the day, it is not just a one and done thing. You have to train your AI. It takes so much time. It's where it's like, okay, you think that you're going to get rid of your marketer, but what you're going to be doing is spending your entire day training your AI to speak for your marketing. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and that's just not what people are doing. People are putting one prompt in saying, write me a copy for my social media. This is my website. What, you know what I mean? And
they're done
with it. Yes.
Yep.
And it comes out with this generic, just, what everybody else, it's like, I mean, it uses the same emojis. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, you guys.
And then you get the haters that already hate the idea of AI that have never really even used it. Like, I'll never use AI.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think's on your phone right now?
Yes, totally. Exactly.
Google Maps has been using AI for decades.
Yes.
So kind of going into today's topic with the algorithm, what we're doing. North Idaho Podcast Productions, we create content for anybody, but we try to focus on business owners.
Right.
Running a podcast, people are like, oh, there's no money in podcasting. And if you look at it linear like that, sure, if you're going to come in here and like you've got, you have a passion for like Matchbox cars and you want to come talk about Matchbox cars, and you don't have your own podcast, you don't have your own setup, you could spend a couple $1,000s a month to come talk about your hobby. And unless you have that kind of expendable income, it's probably not too viable.
Right.
But for a business owner, for somebody like a roofer or a plumber, especially local business owners that we're dealing with, if they were to come in here and create 5-6 hours of content that we can then chop up into these little shorts that are very purpose driven, you know, you've got hurricane, like in Florida, you have hurricane season. So you spend, you know, 5-6 hours talking about how to prepare for hurricane season, what you should be looking at your roof. And then I cut this content up and give it to you.
Right.
And then you go out and promote this content, because one of your, probably I can imagine one of the biggest struggles you have is you got to create the images or the content that you're going to go promote on social media.
We'll just do Three Peaks Northwest Roofing. They're a great example because so many roofing companies are going out of business right now. And he just cannot believe how busy he is. One of his unique selling points is that Bryce is a strong Christian believer, and he brings that to every job they work on. They are very focused on working hard and getting the job done right and cleaning up very well too, you know? And so it's like, honestly, it's just like a really great experience for a lot of homeowners.
Pretty fair to say, like, you're not going to have somebody showing up with a hangover the night
100%.
before up on your roof.
Yes, 100%.
You know, I really try to outwork every guy on my crew every day that we're on the roof. Really, the goal is just to leave a good legacy of this company where, you know, that people are really happy that they had us roof their house.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a roof, this is some free advertising for them. This is to kind of give you guys an idea of the power of podcasting mixed with what you do, because now, like, Bryce could come in here and do 10 hours of content, but not have somebody like you.
Yes.
We create all this footage, we create all these amazing reels, and he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yes, 100%. That's like, I'll actually, I have in the past, like, gone to videographers and said, you know, like, hey, you know, you can make these really pretty videos, you know, but then what? You know, like, you don't have continuous revenue from people rehiring you to make these videos because you give them to them and then nothing happens. They don't ever see an actual return on investment.
Behind the scenes, you're doing ad spend, you're doing budgets, you're creating audiences, you're targeting. It's very specific.
Very specific. Yep. And that's another thing too, is that it's like, you know, in those audiences and in that skill set, right, of like knowing that everything that you do for your posting and where you're sharing those things specifically, you know, and having that, because I cannot stand when people are like, oh, we're going to make you a strategy. Their strategy is literally posting and that's it. You know, it's like, but they're not taking into account getting into those local groups and making sure that you're using keywords that you need to be using for your business. That doesn't mean using, you know, every keyword in every single post, you know, but putting them in there where it makes sense.
Strategic.
Right? Yes.
Share how the algorithm responds to users' behavior and why it's not out to get you.
Right. So everything that we do, doesn't even matter if we're doing it on social media or not. You know, like even right now, as we're sitting in this room, all of our devices that have signed into social media or downloaded on our iPads or our phones is listening and, you know, paying attention to everything that we do. So there's that double-edged sword, right? You know, to where it's like, you know, there's the people that will scream about privacy, you know, but it's like, you have no privacy anymore, you know, like you're being recorded whenever you drive through stoplights, everything, right? So basically even the maps on your phone, you know, it's like you're being tracked everywhere that you go, everything that you do, everything that you talk about. So the way that this plays into the algorithm, why it's not actually a bad thing for business owners, is because it's putting each of us into different demographics within that system of memory. So whenever I do certain things, it's like, oh, you know, Elizabeth goes here with these people. Oh, now she's here.
That's them targeting.
Yes, 100%. That's what you set up around, you know, the perimeter around your store, you know, and for brick and mortar, it's like, you know, I think a lot of times, because this is the number one issue that I find that business owners have, is that they, instead of being the master of a trade, they want to be the jack of all, which, you know, kind of plays into like the location of where they're located too. No, because we have people that come over here from Spokane. That's great. But I don't care about the 2% of people that come from Spokane. No, like the people that are most likely to come to your store and spend money. Like that's where we want to put your money. We don't want to put your money where, well, one time we had somebody from Florida. If we look at where the majority of your revenue is coming from, for one, we should be retargeting people that already spend money with you. And if it's something like a roof, we should still be targeting those people and asking them to send you a referral.
Right.
You know, it's like, because those people, if they've had a great experience with you, they're more likely to continue spending money with you. People need to be told what to do. That's why you always hear about call to action and why it's so important. right? Is because I mean, and this has been proven in studies too, that like you can have a flyer that is for a band, that's coming to play. And if you don't have the call to action to buy tickets, I mean, it's something crazy too. Like you'll sell 60% more tickets whenever you have the call to action to buy the tickets now.
Right.
So I mean, it really is something crazy like that. So people need to be told what to do. So you can't just assume as a business owner that just because somebody had a great,
User experience,
with you.
right? A company hires you, and I guess depending on what they spend, it depends on how many posts that you do.
We base our posts and what it is that we're putting out based upon the results. And so it's like, okay, I can tell, again, looking at the analytics of, like, okay, we need to put more SEO out here because we're really having issues like getting to the, the homeowners that we want to get to.
Let's use me as an example. Say I come to you and hire you. What level of responsibility of content do you need from me every month to help you?
I put it on the business owner to get me a lot of their content, unless they're going to pay me or somebody from my team to come and get that content for them.
And what is the content normally? Are you getting photographs, video, combination of?
We want video because I want you to have the best results that you possibly can. Again, it's like going, if I'm sitting in the consumer position, right? And I actually use this visual with some of the business owners that I work with to actually get them to get videos. I'll say, okay, let's look at this business, totally different industry, right? Let's look at this business and their marketing. We'll go and look at their page and it's, like super exciting. Like, wow, like you start to feel an emotion. Like, there was this one like taco truck guy, and it's like, wow, like, yeah, I want to go get one of those tacos right now. And everybody felt that whenever they watched that video, and I'm like, okay, now let's go to this, who's their competition. I'm like, what about this page, these pictures makes you, nothing makes you feel the same as you just did whenever you watched that video.
Right.
And then it's like all of a sudden this eye opener of like, oh, you know what, you're right. So you can either be the bland vanilla, and you can get vanilla results, or you can be, the one that's like, people see the ad and they're like, you know what, I'm not even going to hire or ask somebody else to come and give me an estimate. Like, I know that I'm going to hire you.
Right.
I even get those calls myself where people will be like, I'll run my own video ads and people will call me and they'll say, well, I feel like I already know you. I already know that I want to hire you. I just need to understand how the process works.
Right.
That's what people will say.
Isn't that the best?
Yes.
Because that means you're doing your job right. You talked earlier on in this that a lot of people get into these industries, your industry, my industry. Of course, we're here to make money. If you can show your customer how they're going to eat first, and then you're going to take a bite and eat, it's a lot easier for them to swallow and digest this. So I'm thinking, how do I put business in front of you? How do I put business in front of the customer? And if it's going to make them money, that's kind of the goal. So you're putting it on your client to, obviously, they got to get you some levels of content,
right?
Or else you're using royalty-free footage of somebody else,
right?
Which
it just doesn't work.
Right.
That's the whole thing, is that it literally just doesn't work, and that's like one of the first conversations that I have to have with people, is that it's like, what kind of media do you have? Because if you don't have good video media and stuff like that, we're going to have to figure something out. Like, I can help you get to point B where you're making money,
right? But
point A
has to be done.
Yes, it has to be done, because it's a lot easier to talk a business owner into getting a video done again whenever you can say, hey, I've been working with Elizabeth and, you were able to get 50 leads off of that video that we did last month.
Like your roofing guy. I'm not going to charge him this exorbitant. It's part of the package.
Right.
I have the mind of a producer. We're going to go set up the scene. It's going to be very structured.
Yeah.
We're going to have the drone. It's going to get this. We're going to mic you up. You're going to say a couple lines. This 2 or 3 hours that we're spending our time might cost you a couple $100s of my time to go out and do that, which is worth it for you.
Yeah.
So I don't have to think about it. You take a business owner that is a blue collar type of a business, and you tell them, hey, we need you to go produce a mini movie, basically.
Exactly.
They're like, where the F do I start?
Yeah, totally. It's like, and they just don't do it. I can get a good feel for if somebody can do it or not.
But can they do it consistently every month?
And that's exactly it. Is it's like, I already know. And 99% of them, it's a big fat no, that they're not going to. And I've also dealt with the business owners that are like, oh yeah, we can do it ourselves. And it's like, no,
and
you're not going to work with me and tell me that you're going to do it yourself.
Right. You find a business, you need content. For a videographer to go out and do, like, let's say a roofer, to spend a few hours getting that footage, what would something like that typically cost the client?
A lot.
Ballpark.
One of the roofers that I had traded with a videographer, a $10,000 roof, and got 2 videos.
Wow.
One was a 20-second video.
See, this is what I'm saying. The industry has changed now with the technology we have, with the editing software we have. I've got drones, I've got cameras. I can go out and get that same footage for $500.
Right.
But I'm not doing it for $500. You're using us for like, it's part of the package.
Right.
But I know that's what it's going to cost me to do it.
Right.
They're already hiring you. They're using this for that same $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month they were already going to spend on marketing, and now get these extra services.
Right.
Without it, they're not really going to have the content.
Yes.
Halfway decent video, as long as you get decent lighting, but audio, especially if there's going to be noises, things like that.
Yep.
So we mic everybody up. And we just say, look, go about doing what you're going to do. I might tell you to stand a certain way, but just pretend like I'm not here.
Right.
And I'm just over there sipping my coffee, taking video, and like, you're done? I'm like, I'm done, man.
Yeah.
They almost don't think what they're going to get back is going to be what it is. They're like, all right, let me see what you got.
Yes.
And then they're like, shit, I spent $20,000 last year for a fraction of this.
Yes, 100%.
Bryce, the roofer, right?
Right.
Imagine he's sitting where you're sitting right now. We know for the next 6 months, during the season, this is what he typically would deal with.
Right.
So we talk about that through the whole podcast. Then I spend an afternoon filming, recording with him. Now we can use this content, this audio, splicing over with the video that we get with him explaining it.
Yeah.
It's so like gravy that people just don't know. I hope people are getting excited right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because at the same time, it's just like me and you talking, right? It's like me and you, we know different sides of marketing, right? And so what sells my service and what sells your service is what we know,
right.
You know? And so it's like having the business owner sit and talk about you're fixing my problems for me. I feel like you already know exactly what to do with, whatever my specific problem is, whether it's that I have a leak in the roof or do I need the whole roof replaced, whatever it might be, but whenever you talk to people specifically and you're not the jack of all trades, it's like, but they know exactly what they're talking about. And I can hear that professionalism. I can hear their expertise in what it is that they're saying. That's what makes people convert. Like that's a part of the whole sales process. And it's really awesome whenever you can get that across in a video in the media that you have to where whenever they pick up the phone to call you, they already know that they're going to hire you. I don't have my clients tied into long-term contracts. Like I ask them to commit to 4 months at the beginning. I don't make them sign to that, but I just tell them up front,
realistically, this is what it's going to take for you to, or else if you're not going to commit to 4 months, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to take that long.
Yes. For us to see what we can actually get from you.
It's not an overnight process.
Yes, because we have to fill up the gas tank,
right.
and everything that we're going to do in the next 80 days is fill up that gas tank. And then we're going to start, seeing what we can do. And then it's about getting that cost per result down,
right?
Whether it's sales or leads, obviously, like if leads start out at $30 a lead, I want to get it down to like 10. That's my goal.
A lot of this takes place through social media.
Yep.
But a lot of people, all they have is maybe a regular personal Facebook page.
Right.
And they need a business page. They might need a group. What goes into creating that? All of these things can be extremely overwhelming.
Right.
So you have an onboarding team that walks them through that process.
Yes.
Makes it simple for them to get it created.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get assigned or your team gets assigned and you guys manage it.
Yep.
Right. They can still see what's going on.
Yep.
I'm sure you encourage them not to go in and make changes.
Oh, definitely. I mean, they're not allowed to, nor is anybody that works for them.
Right. Mistakes that hurt the algorithm that people commonly will make.
So one of those big mistakes I feel like is running their account as an entertainment account. Entertainment and business are two different things. And so if you're chasing those glamour analytics of how many likes can I get, how many comments can I get, things like that, you're teaching the algorithm that you're chasing engagement and that you're not chasing business. So you always have to identify your audience. And then another thing is sharing things on your business page that have absolutely nothing to do with your business. Stop posting just to post.
So like don't post pictures of your pet duck swimming.
Honestly, it's okay every once in a while to post your pet duck. People do love pets. Essentially, I should be able to go to your business page
and know what it is.
And know what it is within the first 3 posts. Our attention spans are so small, so I should be able to go to your business page. You should be speaking to me as if I'm somebody that has never heard of you within those posts, to where it's like a lot of people too, it's like they get in this mindset of everybody knows who we are. Nobody knows who you are, like get out of your bubble.
Final message, don't blame it, feed it. What does that mean to you?
Feed the algorithm who it is that you want to work with. Give them value, quality over quantity, and consistency. Consistency always. Keep that gas tank full of the right content for the right people.
So if you want the algorithm to work, give it something worth working, right?
Yes, 100%.
Here at North Idaho Podcast, we give the content and Maudie's team is going to give it the legs to run with. So I think the dynamic duo here can really bring to life what people are struggling with.
100%. If you want marketing that brings an actual return on investment, that's exactly what you need. You need the right media, the right content, and to get it in front of the right people.
Well, thanks for tuning in to Rise and Grind. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. Also, if you're interested in some help, drop a comment on maybe something you would like some specific information on, and we can discuss that next time. People helping people, communities method, one day at a time.
And remember, don't blame the algorithm, feed it.
I also want to give a big thanks to Milena for making sure that we stay on topic. Milena, thank you so much. Are you having fun over there? So look forward to our content every Wednesday. Elizabeth and Dan talking about what you can do to elevate your business. Peace, guys.
Bye.
All right, that's a wrap. Do you have a favorite show?
So I don't actually watch TV.
Favorite podcast, favorite anything that requires a...
My favorite podcast is North Idaho Podcast Productions.
This girl.